just to reiterate there, folks, so that it's just coming back to, I guess, the imagery and the inspiration from Cliff for the tree is anchored really quite serendipitously to the to the uh, to the egg. So the roots to the lower unconscious, our personal, familial, and collective roots, both of our gifts and our blind sides. When we come to the trunk, we're talking about the middle unconscious. So again, let's remember here that they're not discrete, um, you know, and completely self-contained aspects of psyche. They interrelate and intershift and change. Um, the stories, the energies, the myths that are our lives between them. So with the trunk, the focus generally is around, I guess, the middle unconscious, that aspect of psyche, that of self, that of the personal self at least, that we're most familiar with on a mundane, day-to-day, moment-to-moment level. And so when we come to, I guess, the leaves and ultimately, well, the branches and the leaves, and ultimately what lies beyond that, the sunlight and the sky, that's really airing towards the higher unconscious and all that entails. Yeah. So again, the theme of the breakout is around we will separate folk out into the roots, the trunk, and the branches come leaves, and we'll be focusing on those areas. But at the same time, I don't want to be, you know, there's no rule, there's no hard or fast rules here. It's just to be clear, we're aiming to deal with those specific parts of the, um, I guess, the egg, the tree that is us personally and individually, and what that brings forth from us into the group. I guess thinking about the star model here in terms of imagination, thoughts, desires, and so on. Yeah, just bear that in mind. So I guess for a bit of an overview, um, Cliff, over to yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Rich. And again, welcome to everyone. I think Rich has definitely covered the overview of our approach. For those of you who had an opportunity to read the entirety of the quarterly, I think you were blessed with reading an extraordinary spectrum that gave rise to our desire to find a symbol for all the different means in which we heal and attain consciousness. So the grouping that has gathered here today, I'm very mindful that you have your own deep experiences with psychosynthesis over the years. If we were to add up the years of psychosynthesis in our group, we would probably be astounded by the wisdom that's represented here today. So are in the European zone, or whether you're in the US as I am, we welcome you, and our hope is that we can share, particularly in the breakout rooms, an opportunity to deepen our experience together here. I think the part that Peter and Rich and myself understood, as Rich was also saying, that the process in psychosynthesis moves back and forth, much in fluidity, rather than in kind of rigid steps. So today, as Richard already mentioned, it's not as if we're looking at just one specific part of ourselves without respecting the ebb and flow of our movement as developing soul-infused personalities in this process here. So each of you is bringing your own examples of life forward today, and we want to certainly pay attention to that, especially in the more personalized parts of the breakout room here. I think one of the things that gave rise to our desire to be here today is to truly understand the span of what's available now to us as resources. And as the quarterly pointed out, at least 50 plus years ago when I started Psychosynthesis, we did not have as much access to forms of transpersonal or personal experience that we do today, whether it's through the ayahuasca, psychotropic kind of psychedelic types of tools. We were limited in many ways, so we understand that we have much more access to more of the specialized forms as well as the more esoteric forms. In those older days, people that co-wrote Psychosynthesis with Assagioli, Robert Gerard in particular, was very much connected to the more esoteric side of psychosynthesis. So we want to ensure that in the quarterly we represented more of the span of where psychosynthesis can help us today in our movement towards integration and synthesis of the self here. So I'm grateful that we live in these times here. And again, our plan as Rich and Peter and I have attempted to formulate is to begin the process with a visualization. Hopefully that will be of help to us. So Peter, let me turn it back over to you for any input that you'd like to give here.
Yeah, well, and maybe I should have done it right at the start, just to give everyone a sense of the time, the schedule for the webinar. We'll spend the first half an hour just sort of discussing, reviewing the quarterly, talking about some of the themes and doing the guided visualization. And then we'll move into the 3 breakouts, which will be divided, as Cliff and Richard said, into the branches, the trunk and the roots. And each person will have the choice of which of those they go into. So you can join one of those 3 breakout rooms and they'll be hopefully clearly labeled, so you have a choice on your screen. And the breakouts will be relatively extended compared to many of the webinars that we give. We'll have a full half hour in the breakouts so that each person has a chance to share their own experience of the visualization and discuss any issues that arose out of it. And going back to that theme about the branches, the trunk and the roots, I think sometimes there's almost a feeling of hierarchy around that. And of course, you can't have a tree without roots or branches or a trunk. So they're all kind of equally important. So I hope that people will really stay present with what's coming, what seems relevant to them kind of in the present moment, and not select from some kind of idea of one's better than the other, or one needs more attention than the other, but just to sort of take that sense of all 3 are really vital to life and the life of the tree, and to go with that. I should also say, after the half hour in the breakout rooms, we will have half an hour for full discussion to take back into the room and bring us all together, so that everyone's able to share their experience with the wider group. And hopefully there'll be a bit of time for discussion about the upcoming conference as well, which is happening at the Garrison Institute in July. So we can round off with that. But back to Cliff on the actual theme of the webinar.
Very good. Thank you, Rich. If it's possible, I'd like to help prepare us for the visualization this morning. And again, because you are all such experienced psychosynthesis, I am very mindful that you all are very familiar with the visualization process, but I would like to treat us as if we're all humble students here, prepared and ready for new adventures and understanding, even though you have extensive experience, to just allow yourself to have beginner's mind. And in that regard, I want to invite you as journeyers on this journey that allow the visualization to be one in which you can feel this sense of openness and sensation and emotion and impulse desire as well. So if it's possible, I'd encourage each of you to find a very comfortable position wherever you are, especially allowing your body to be of support to you. And allow the body to find a restful and yet supportive position so that it becomes an ally to you. Allow the body to have access to a ease of breathing. So please allow your belly to feel relaxed from this alignment, that it takes very little effort on your part to breathe in and to breathe out. And allow yourself to move back into that rhythm, into the in and the out of life. Allow your head to feel balanced on the top of your spine. Allow your feet to feel grounded. Allow your body, again, to feel alert and yet relaxed. If there are any other competing thoughts or feelings at this time, create an agreement with these parts of you that you will attend to them at a later time and that you are not ignoring their calls to you. Allow your body, your feelings, your mind, and your connection to the higher self to find an alignment. Invite them all to be present for you and with you. Then allow yourself to feel in a place of openness and neutrality. Allow yourself access, especially to your sensations, emotions, imagination, intuition in this journey that we will take. Now allowing your imagination to take its part, imagine that you are moving from the busyness of your normal days and nights. It's as if you were leaving a busy city, a busy neighborhood, that you've given yourself permission to move from the normal tides of life, and you find yourself moving away from those busy places of your life. Imagine then that you are moving out into a more natural setting, whatever that might be in your imagination. And as you move farther and farther away from the busyness of life, your body begins to experience more and more a sense of a different rhythm. And you can feel that subtle as well as direct change through your body, your feelings, and your mind. In the distance, you can make out the shape of what appears to be a gateway. It can be small, it can be large, it can be beautifully arrayed. As you get closer, you recognize it is a gateway to a nature preserve. Imagine standing before this gateway and understanding it is your nature preserve. This ground, this sky, this water, this is protected and sacred land. As you make the decision to cross the gateway, you understand that you are leaving the world that has been a normal part of your life, now moving into sacred and protected land as you cross the threshold. This is familiar land to you. The air you breathe, the ground that your feet touches, the sensations you have in your body. This is familiar. It is an intimate familiarity. And you, as you move into the land, you make your way very, very deliberately, knowing that you are safe, totally safe here, that there is a purity, that there is a sense of true belonging and connection. This is where you are meant to be. And as you reacquaint yourself with this protected and sacred land, you understand that there is a place that you often move towards, a place that is understood to be your source. So allow yourself to move through this land until you come closer to knowing where this spot is marked by. As you come closer to this spot, you recognize that it is marked by a tree. Whether you are close or more distant, immediately you recognize the familiarity of this tree, not only in its form, not only in its structure, but its connection to you, to all of you. As you come closer to the tree, you become aware of its setting. Is it standing by itself, or is it part of a grove? Is it young in nature, or is it older and more mature? Is it more vertical, or is it more wide? You recognize this, all the dimensions of this tree. You know that this tree, is it deciduous, where the leaves and the seasons have left its mark on this tree? Is it coniferous, where it is evergreen during the seasons? Again, it is familiar to you. It is intimate to you. As you come closer to the tree, you take your hands and you are able, as you get closer to the tree, to kneel on the ground by this tree. Allow your hands to go deeply into the earth, to find the roots and the taproot of this tree. Allow your sensations and emotions and impulses and desires to be present. Feel the root around your hands. Is there a strong and rhythmic beat to the root? Is it more subtle? Is it irregular? You are there to get to know and be reconnected to this tree. Feel the soil around you. Is it compacted? Is it too dense? Is it more fluid with a looser composition? Again, feel the extent of the roots themselves. Are they in a shallow ball like a redwood? Or do they extend outwards to the breadth of the branches like an oak? Allow yourself to feel the depth, to feel the breadth, to feel the nurturing field. Is there nourishment in this soil? And as you come to know the roots of this tree, bring your hands out of the soil and begin to touch the trunk of this tree? Is the bark thick? Is it smooth? What does the circumference of the tree feel like to you? Is it flexing and flexible like a willow? Is it thick like an oak? Allow your hands to give you information, to give you this sense of the trunk. As you become more and more sensationally connected, allow yourself to feel the pulse of that trunk. Can you feel the movement of nourishment from below where the roots are? Can you feel the nourishment from above where the sun and the moon have had their effects on the leaves and branches that are sending down an equal amount of nourishment? Feel the pulse of the trunk. Wrap your hands and arms around the trunk. Feel its steadiness or feel its flexibility. Feel how it stands in this ground. Allow yourself to be supported and be supported by its standing in this protected and sacred preserve that you are part of here. Now look a little higher. Look a little bit higher into its branches. For some, maybe it's possible to even climb up from the trunk into the branches. For others, perhaps being able to view it from the ground is its best opportunity. But note that whether you're able to move amongst the branches or to observe them from the ground level, that you recognize that the vault of the blue sky or the darkness of night feed these branches the invisible energy of the cosmos, of the sun, of ancient energies and future energies, all coincide in those moments the branches are available to 24 hours a day. We are experiencing, receiving, moving that energy into usable energy for the tree itself, just as important as the roots of this tree. Begin to experience the subtle and yet absolutely vibrant energies that are downpouring into this tree. And take that time now to embody each part of this tree. You can feel the upcoming energy from the earth. You can feel the steadiness or flexibility of the trunk. You can feel the incoming and indwelling energy of the invisible. You have become one with this, your spiritual, personal, primal truth. You might step back for a moment from the tree and to offer your own sense of gratitude, perhaps bowing to the tree, perhaps kneeling in gratitude, but acknowledging the beauty and the evolution of this tree over the ages and time. With this in mind and in your heart, you carry these very powerful imprints with you. And now it is within your time to make your way from this tree on your sacred and protected land. Visualize yourself moving back towards that gateway. Visualize yourself moving back through the gate with this intimate knowledge of this tree, the tree of life that is you. And allow your breathing to internalize your experience, to enliven and to energize all the different aspects of who you are, and to return back to this place where we as a village have gathered. Take a moment and allow yourself to carry this time to bring your experiences back with you, to ground yourself and invite yourself to be with others. Allow yourself that time, and when you are ready, then please allow yourself to be as present as possible. I'll give you a moment or two in order to do that. But please take this time to make this transition. After the transition, then Peter will give us instructions on our next step here. And so let that be.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thanks so much, Cliff. Yeah.
Deep bows.
I was just wanting Rich to give you a chance to talk about that experience that we were discussing yesterday.
Yes.
Before
Sure.
the breakouts, maybe. Thank you so much for that, Cliff. That was very beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Cliff.
And
That was genius.
Yeah.
Genius, brother. Deep bows.
Yeah.
Deep bows. Yeah. So thanks for the reminder there, Pete. Yeah. So I guess part of the story that's brought us here with this imagery of the tree, my very first experience of psychosynthesis was that image. And I'll just go into, that gives something to you all. And it was I was around 40, 39, 40, gone through quite a transition, a life transition, recovered and got myself back on my feet, figuratively and actually, following the mountaineering fall back in 2001. And I was going through all the hoops that society was expecting me to. And it was at that point in my life that I think self came knocking on the door and I guess pushed me a different way. And it was actually, just to summarize, I actually discovered psychosynthesis. And it was through my I say serendipitous journey through, I guess, depth psychology, really principally through investigating Jung's works. I started reading Jung's collective works, and just through I think with the Depth Psychology Alliance, some website was based, I think, around West Coast US. I encountered Psychosynthesis, and it was a paper written by a lady. I've forgotten the name now, but there was something about her story and how she wove in the core concepts of Assagioli's framework that just had a hook. And I was really curious on this. And so with that, I started investigating, I guess, essentials trainings and introductions to psychosynthesis. And as it turns out, we had the Psychosynthesis and Education Institute just around the corner from London Bridge. And I did some digging around, made some phone calls, and they held a 5-day essentials training. And I paid up. Thought, okay, so let's explore where this might lead. And I had no expectations at that point. Bearing in mind my education at that point, I was come from a, you might call it a, working class, relatively poor background. I was one of the smarter kids in the family, put myself through uni, etc. And so I'd kind of like, I had very little to no, I guess, direct experience of what we call the transpersonal. And so through that process of the 5 days, we did a number of exercises. And one of them is your classic 5 questions, where we would sit down, still ourselves, and I guess sketch out and write in keywords, etc., of where do we come from, our roots, where are we currently, where do we want to move towards, what's in our way, and what's our highest purpose. That's my kind of my frame of those questions. And that, the image that came out from that last picture, bear in mind we were drawing them in big A2 sheets and crayons and felt tips and whatnot. And what came out of that last picture was a tree. And it was this magnificent oak tree. But its leaves were a green golden, its trunk was this deep hazelnut brown, wreathed with silver and gold, and its roots were deep and thick, and beneath that was a cave, and within that cave was a well. And I came to know that not at that point. I just sketched it out and where is this coming from? And at the base of that was a well, and I call that the Well of Remembrance. But actually there was another image that had superimposed itself. Right at the end was a sword. I think culturally, I think it was a long sword, kind of like, a culturally appropriate weapon. But the meaning of that image for me was a sword of truth. It is the paring away. It is our awareness. I guess we could call it a symbol of, for me, a symbol of self, the higher self. It was a cutting through the illusions that, I guess, our daily lives, our being in our bodies, and our traumas and our hurts and our joys often impose. And so I just wanted to share that with you as we move towards the breakouts.
Right.
That was my first experience, a transpersonal experience that I had. I think I'd had some when I was a kid, earlier years, but as an adult, I'd pushed that entire realm away. And it was through that experience of encountering Sagioli's framework and of committing myself to the exercise, I guess I'm here today speaking with you. So
Thank you.
thank you, Peter.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Lovely, lovely image. Have you still got the picture?
I've searched high and low. I think I took a digital back in the day, back in 2012. I used it with my mobile, but I've tried fishing around for it and can't find it. So no, unfortunately not. But it's in here.
Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you both.